Y'all are saying that this legislation is not enough, that this is just the start. And your constituents agree. They want more. More environmental protections, more protections for our air, more protections for our neighborhoods. We're asking you that after this legislation passes tonight, that you wake up and you get to work and you continue to find ways to protect Nashvillians from the harms that these data centers bring, the harms that AI brings to our communities.
I was a citizen addressing the Nashville Metropolitan Council this week about a measure to delay the development of a data center in that city. Now, this comes as the issue of data center development and their use of resources continues to be front and center across the country. And as President Donald Trump today announcing a pledge backed by some governors, legislators, and developers looking to protect ratepayers from increased electricity costs. Welcome back to the States. I'm Greg Bishop. The Nashville Metropolitan Council approved a moratorium on data center development until December 1st, and new regulations in light of opposition to a data center proposed near the Nashville Zoo. Now, more on this issue. Let's connect with the Center Square Associate Editor, Kim Jarrett. Kim, what are Nashville's regulations, and what is it that they did this week?
Basically, the scale back regulations that they have basically will say you cannot put a small data center within 100 feet of a church, a school, a zoo. They added zoo there. And then for large data centers, it's basically half a mile. I think that's 2,640 feet. They didn't do a lot, as the gentleman said, a lot of the environmental regulations. They were in some amendments, but because they're doing this moratorium until December 1st, they're going to be looking at more data center regulations during the time that they have the moratorium.
Now, they also discussed possibly taking over some of the land adjacent to the zoo. What's going on there?
So Atlanta-based DC blocks may have already purchased that land, but Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell wants to overtake that land with eminent domain and saying, hey, well, yeah, we need the land for different reasons. That way they'll own the land and that will stop this project entirely. We have talked to the company, DC Blocks, that is doing the data center. They didn't have any new information to give us yesterday after this Nashville vote, but previously they said, hey, we've been trying to work with Nashville. We're not trying to be a bad neighbor to the zoo or to anyone. This data center is also close to Fisk University, which is a private historical Black university. So they're saying, hey, we want to work with everyone, but looks like that Nashville is going ahead, doing the moratorium and trying to seize the land.
Kim, it's almost like there's an election just in a few months from now. So politics have definitely squeezed into this issue, even in Tennessee, not to forget across the entire country. But how has the reaction been from both sides of the aisle on this?
Well, surprisingly, both sides have tended to be on the same side when it comes to this one data center in Nashville. Marsha Blackburn, the U.S. Senator who's also running for governor, she says, yeah, maybe we need to rethink this location. She traditionally has been kind of for data centers because of the tax revenue that they bring in. Now, Justin Jones, he's a Democrat in Nashville. He's saying, no, we don't need it also. He's saying this is not good for this area. So for a change, you have Democrats and Republicans in Tennessee agreeing on something.
Let's talk a little bit about, data centers in particular and what kind of impact some of the advocates say that data centers have on Tennessee. They claim that more than 68,000 jobs have been made, $625 million in state and local taxes, plus $10 billion added to Tennessee's GDP just in 2024. Has that been presented at all? And have you heard any of the supporters say, yeah, this is good economic development?
In Nashville, it's hard to find a supporter for this particular project that we're talking about that's next to the zoo, and it's largely because of the location. I attended an online webinar with the National Taxpayers Union recently, and they said, hey, data centers can be a boom for locations if they come in because the tax money that they're bringing in. In Georgia, there was discussion at a meeting yesterday that, hey, if counties would charge data centers franchise fees, that could eradicate property taxes in some counties in Georgia. So there's a lot of talk about data centers do have some benefit to the taxpayers.
Well, Kim, we'll definitely be talking more about data centers in the future, especially as President Donald Trump again announcing right about now a pledge to help ratepayers across the country when it comes to data center development. So thanks again to Kim Jarrett, the Center Square Associate Editor, for joining the States.